implementation of their strategies. So we have to constantly remind them that, and we always assure them that the DOAs and the provincial health offices, as well as other agencies like DILG, DepEd, are always supporting in the quest to reduce the dengue situation in the Region 8. So that's the reason why we have to inform them time and again. Because I am the dengue program manager, I know their characteristics. We need to constantly collaborate and remind them of their obligations.
Thank you very much, sir, and congratulations again on your presentation. And we wish you all the best as you try to control dengue in Eastern Visayas.
Okay, thank you po.
Okay, we now proceed to our next presentation. He is representing Region 11. Mr. Michael Bacus is currently University Research Associate 1 from the University of the Philippines, Mindanao. He will present his policy pitch, Health Nature for Healthy People, based on his completed research entitled Ecology of Emerging Zoonotic Pathogens from Bats in Malagos, Davao City. Mr. Bacus, can we see you for a moment? Michael?
Good afternoon. A year ago, a research article surfaced and warned the public of a possible coronavirus outbreak originating from China, but nobody bothered back then. But as predicted, we are now facing the most serious pandemic of the century through a novel coronavirus that emerged from Wuhan, China. I am Michael G. Bacus, a researcher from UP Mindanao, and I am here today to give another warning. Bats are agriculturally important animals that pollinate many crops of high economic value. However, they also carry diverse viruses with the potential to cause public health crises. The SARS coronavirus, the MERS coronavirus, and the SARS-CoV-2, which causes COVID-19, have all been linked to bats as the original source. To understand the potential of local fruit bats in the Philippines to transmit pathogens, we conducted an exploratory surveillance of bat beta coronaviruses in Davao City and performed a global analysis based on available genetic data. We found that bat coronaviruses are generally host-specific, which means that genetically related bats carry similar viruses. For example, the local fruit bats from Davao City and the fruit bats from other parts of the world share the same kind of viruses. So far, we have not seen any human coronavirus emerge from these fruit bats. In contrast, horseshoe bats carry viruses that are related to SARS-CoV and the 2019 nCoV. Likewise, Vesper bats carry viruses that are related to the MERS coronavirus. Our generation has been a witness to several human coronaviruses that have emerged from bats, and their global impact to our economy and our lives cannot be understated. Fortunately, our research findings do not point to an immediate public health threat from these local fruit bats, probably because we have done a good job in distancing them from animals and humans. But if we continue to pursue activities that destroy their habitat, we will eventually push bats towards our communities and increase sustained exposure to these viruses. So how do we prevent another COVID in the future? Firstly, we need to establish a nationwide One Health surveillance program in order to have a more updated and timely understanding of emerging pathogens like coronaviruses. And this can be done through our research councils and funding agencies. They have to work hand in hand in establishing a strong surveillance program for emerging diseases for pandemic preparedness. And secondly, we need to preserve the habitat of bats in the wild so as not to push them towards our communities. And this can be done by actually strengthening the implementation of wildlife protection laws and bat habitat conservation, and our local government units and regulatory agencies like DNR would have to work hand in hand in order to achieve this. And lastly, we have to actually, as we approach a One Health paradigm, we have to, it is inevitable that to have a healthy people, we must maintain a healthy nature. Bats are friends, not enemies, but we have to manage them properly in order to fight our real enemies, the viruses. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for that very interesting presentation. Now we open the floor for questions. Any of our panelists have a question for Mr. Michael Bacchus?
Yes, I have a question. The DOH regional directors identified as one of your target audience, but it isn't very clear to me what your recommendation would be to the RD. So if you could share that with us, please.
And also a question from Dr. Cotionco de la Paz.
Sorry, I think Dr. San Diego also has a question before me, but my question is actually similar to Dr. Gloria. So, I mean to Dr. May, sorry, to Dr. Velasco.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I'm Dr. San Diego.
Yes. My question is actually, it wasn't actually clear in your presentation, Mr. Bacchus, on what is your exact goal in this presentation and what you would really want from the policymakers. Thank you.
Michael, I think you are on mute. Can you unmute, please? Okay.
Sorry. So again, thank you for the question. The goal of this policy pitch is really to highlight two things. The first thing is we have to strengthen the implementation of bat habitat conservation and wildlife protection laws so as not to, push these bats towards our communities and prevent sustained exposure to these viruses. That's why it's important that the LGUs and the DNR would have to work hand in hand in actually strengthening the implementation of these kinds of policies. The second thing that is lacking in the context of our One Health landscape is actually we need the need for the establishment of a One Health, a nationwide surveillance system for emerging pathogens like beta coronaviruses. For instance, what we could do is to actually make our own. We can model it with Vietnam. They have a Vietnam initiative on zoonotic infections that what they do actually is they have a surveillance system wherein there's a surveillance in the hospitals, there's a surveillance in the environment, there's surveillance in the wildlife, and they collate all those information to actually track how the viruses are evolving and what are the risks that are associated as they evolve through time. So that's for pandemic preparedness. So I think that's what I want to highlight in today's presentation.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bacchus, for your presentation and for addressing the questions from our panel.
Thank you.
And congratulations. Okay, we now move on to our next presentation. She is representing Region 12, and she is Miss Victoria Mijares, an SHS and college instructor from St. Alexius College, Incorporated. She will present her policy pitch, Guso Water Pods, based on her completed research entitled Sodium Alginate Gel from Guso as Water Pods. Ms. Mijares?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for joining us. You have the floor.
Election greetings of peace. I am Vicky Mijares from St. Alexius College in the city of Coronadal South, Cotabato. Our school is the chair for the Green School movement that advocates care for environment, sustainability, and human responsiveness. One of the major programs is the No Plastic policy that has been adopted citywide since February 2012. What is toxic for the planet is just as toxic for human health. Plastic is not just an environmental problem, but a human health crisis hiding in plain sight. Okay. In 2021, there are 20,000 bottles being bought every second because of the desire of the producers to create bottled waters. And this number will drastically jump to 20% in 2021. Humans are unaware of their exposure to a large variety of toxic chemicals. So these chemicals migrate from the food packaging to the food consumed, thus increasing endocrine disruption, direct toxicity, and carcinogens. Okay, so this can further affect our immune system, respiratory, cardiovascular, and even developmental toxicity. So the Senior High School Department of St. Alexius College wants to address this problem even from the start. So we want to stop manufacturing plastics and get an alternative, hence this study. We are leveraging resources and infusing new ideas of developing water pods from Guso. So the Guso contains sodium alginate, which when added to a solution of calcium lactate and water reacts to form spheres. So these spheres has a mean thickness of 0.012 centimeter, can store an average of 5 ml of water, and can last for 15 hours and 12 minutes. So the question now is, what can we do with these water pods? So our product is a great alternative to plastic bottles. Having a water pod anytime, anywhere that will quench your thirst, and hola, it will be absorbed whole by your body, leaving no trace of waste. And we appeal to all the policymakers. We appeal for your full support and take part in our campaign to eliminate plastic bottles among schools. And we hope that water pods will be available in school cafeterias and for school be utilized for different school activities such as intramurals. Let's act to end plastic pollution and support our bottleless solution. Madam Magid nga salamat. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Mijares, for that presentation. And interesting. We now open the floor for questions. A question from Dr. San Diego and then followed by Dr. Acuin.
Hi, Ms. Mijares. My question is, you mentioned about a time limit on the use of your gel.
Yes, sir.
Wouldn't that significantly impact on your plan to actually replace the plastic bottles? Thank you.
Okay.
And then question from Dr. Acuin.
Okay, so basically the average time of our gel or our Guso is 15 hours and 12 minutes. So our target for this, the target consumers, are students, especially during school activities. So we know, for example, we have 8 hours activities at school. So it would be enough, the time duration of our product is enough to, yes, sir. Hello, sir.
Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yes, po.
Go ahead. We can hear you.
Hello, sir.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
I think she's finished. Harvey, can I ask my question? This is Dr. Acuin.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, so Ms. Mijares, my question is regarding the stage of your research. It seems to me that it is still very much in the research stage rather than the policy stage. What kind of research will need to be done for you to be able to make this research suitable for policy application?
Yes, po. Hello?
Yes, please answer the question. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. Could you please repeat the question, ma'am?
Okay, so my question is, it seems that your paper is really intended more for further research than for policy application. So what kind of research do you think is needed before you can make this kind of research applicable for policy? Thanks.
Okay, for future research, since this one is a product development, so hopefully we could have a collaboration with other agencies for the mass production of this study. Since this one, the Guso, actually is edible, however, it should be tested more for consumers, or there must be more study to determine its level of toxicity, and of course, so that we could be this could be to assure that the consumers will not be poisoned with the product, or to assure the safety of the consumers.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Mijares, for your presentation and for answering the questions from our panel. And congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
We now move on to our seventh presentation, and he is representing Region 3. Dr. Ronel De La Rosa is the Dean of the Graduate School of Bataan Peninsula State University. He will present his policy pitch, Smoke-Free City Living and Tobacco-Free Generation Project in the city of Balanga, based on his research entitled Smoke-Free City Living and Tobacco-Free Generation of Balanga, Bataan. Dr. De La Rosa, are you with us?
Hello, good afternoon, Dr. Harvey.
Okay, you have the floor.
I can open my video. Okay, I work a lot in the university town of the province of Bataan. And the lone city in the province, which is the city of Balanga, is known for its popular tourist destination and definitely its plight on banning public smoking. This leads to an exceptional, clear, enjoyed environment for local and foreign tourists, and definitely for the residents alike. The vision of the city of Balanga is to become a university town and a technological hub by 2020. And this provide an avenue for everyone to sustain a healthy environment for students, workers, and the residents, including also visitors and local tourists. This is a call to address as well the Sustainable Developmental Goals by 2030, the Area 3 and 11, to sustain a smart city living, and that's my video, in the city. So despite the many practices of the city of Balanga and with its local and foreign recognition, to name a few, effective tobacco control policy in the Asian 2014 John Hopkins Tobacco Control Leadership Awards, in 2015 in the UAE, and in Thailand in 2019 for the Healthy Cities best practices, in particular in the promotion of tobacco control and smoke-free city policy. So with all the efforts of the leadership in the city and innovations on the institutionalized programs since 2008, the city launched various programs such as No to Cigarettes Balanga, teaming up for Smoke-Free Balanga City, which resulted to a prevalence rate of 28.3 in 2010. But after 10 years, I will be sharing later on what transpired to this research undertaking and what is the current project for this endeavor. So the City Council passed the first comprehensive no smoking ordinance in 2010 and declared May 31 as the City of Balanga No Tobacco's Day. In 2016, Balanga created the Health Promotion Board, City Ordinance Number 17, which mandate a strategic research implementation for all non-communicable diseases to assist the city public health office. But the call for an action and challenges continued, with the city aims to achieve 5% decrease in smoking prevalence yearly. So, despite the significant pressures from the tobacco industry, Balanga City's anti-tobacco efforts continued with the help of our policymakers. As part of the commitment of the Balanga City, we were able to conduct a study last year focusing on the implementation of the city ordinance and able to come up with the following findings. One out of 138 smokers in the city are fully aware on the ordinance and able to witness the promotional strategies in the city. So with that, we are still continuing efforts of doing barangay level task force for smoking and offering a curricular undertaking to make more aware and responsive healthcare workforce in the city. So with that, this is a call to encourage everyone to comply with the city ordinance and able to contribute to the goal of the city of Balanga. Mabuhay ang mga Balangreños.
Thank you, Dr. De La Rosa, for your presentation. And it's nice to see you again virtually.
Thank you very much, Dr. Harvey.
We now open the floor for questions from our panel of judges.
Harvey, I have a question.
Sige po, ma'am.
Yes. So I'd like to ask Dr. De La Rosa, what specific measures has the city actually done to limit smoking? Because I understand these are all, mostly health education, health promotion kinds of approaches. But are there policies that are more restrictive or more action-oriented than these kinds of health promotion efforts?
And a second question from Dr. Velasco.
Yes, thank you, Dr. De La Rosa, for your presentation. You did mention that actually you're targeting more support from the regional offices, no, specifically the DOH regional director. But what particular support are you actually asking for, given all the things that are currently being done against?
Noted, ma'am.
You may address the question.
Okay. For the citywide implementation of the city ordinance, for the perusal of the findings of the study, the City Council passed an enhancement of the city ordinance in 2016. Now, the city ordinance number 17 of 2019, which is citywide being implemented, total banning of smoking in the city. So with that, the created smoke-free task force had really helped us to address the challenges to the implementation of this city. Now the city government created also a barangay-based smoke-free task force to ensure that monitoring and evaluation of this city ordinance is well implemented. As you could see in the slide, there are data telling among barangays in the city of Balanga, did violate the city ordinance of 2019 because we conducted the study last year. And now the findings of the study had had given a chance for the city government to create a program for smoke-free city living and tobacco-free generation to really address the implementation of the city ordinance. So for the support, we in the conduct of the study, we are in partnership also with the International Tuberculosis Association, and we adopted their success measures to identify the compliance rate for the policy, which is now 90 to 92% compliance rate, and to really see that the policy being implemented are in the vision of the city of Balanga. So we are hoping to receive more support from the regional offices, national government agencies, and definitely also with the residents and tourists as well of the city of Balanga. So the good thing about this, we are in partnership also with Bataan Peninsula State University and DepEd, including all the city health, our issues in the city health office to train more all the volunteer barangay health workers about non-communicable diseases, specifically on smoking and nicotine regulations topics. We are now offering certificate course for non-communicable diseases for free for barangay health workers.
Okay, sir. Dr. De La Paz also has a question.
Okay, noted, Doc.
Thank you, Dr. De La Rosa, for your presentation. If you were to share what you're doing in Balanga City, what will be the 3 best practices that you think you can share with other cities of the country?
Okay, definitely number 1 is the good governance of the policymakers in the city of Balanga and even in the provincial government, because the policymakers are really supportive to address the issues and challenges governing in their local government units. That's number 1. Number 2, the collaboration, the linkages, interprofessional partnerships also to implement the policy is our best practice to address the problems in the city of Balanga. And third, the support coming from the residents, stakeholders, and definitely visitors and tourists as well, that they are also complying with the policy being implemented in the Balanga. As you could see in the slide, there are 74 violators or non-residents who committed contradicting to the policy. And still there are some selling some stores selling tobacco, but in the context of the city ordinance, we are also providing them a possible livelihood program in the city as in partnership with the DSWP in the city. That's the 3 best practices I think that we have.
Thank you, sir, for addressing the questions of our panelists, and congratulations on your presentation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Harvey.
We now move on to the next presentation, which is our 8th presentation, and she is representing the region of Caraga. Ms. Gemma Chato is from the Caraga Regional Hospital. She will present her policy pitch entitled The Effects of Cigarette Smoking to Human Health, based on her research entitled Hemostatic Parameters Among Smoker Patients of Caraga Regional Hospital, Surigao City, Proposed Awareness Program. Ms. Chato? Are you with us, ma'am?
Sir, I cannot access the video.
Okay. In the meantime, there you go. We can see you now. Okay, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Gemma Cardosa Chato, a practicing medical technologist 2 of the Department of Laboratory Medicine, Caraga Regional Hospital, Surigao City. My advocacy is on the effects of cigarette smoking to human health. Cigarette smoking is still a universal issue nowadays, in spite of the issuances of and implementation of Republic Act 9211, the Tobacco Act of 2003, the anti-smoking ordinances of LGU, and the Executive Order number 26 on the nationwide smoking ban issued in 2017. The facts and realities on the detrimental consequences are the messages since they are still ignored by the public, including the minors. The proof of which is the increasing health consultation and admission of patients in the hospital associated with smoking. So this drives the interest of the researcher conduct a research study on the effect of cigarette smoking to human health by conducting blood analysis of the smoker patients and non-smoking patients as the control group, in order to develop additional related information that can be useful for continuing education campaign on cessation of cigarette smoking, thus helping the nation's fight against the universal concern. And the health awareness program is being formulated that will focus on the relationship of smoking to bleeding disorders. Educational materials on the effects of smoking have graphic illustrations of diseases that may pique the interest of the people. So a 15-minute presentation and discussion will be proposed to each high school classroom as the target audience of this awareness program, and an open forum will be expected, and the distribution of flyers will also be conducted. The presentation includes the effects of complex chemical content of cigarettes and the effects and implications of cigarette smoking on hemostatic parameters of individuals. Then today, the researcher is requesting the policymakers, especially the Department of Health, to support the awareness program by allowing me to conduct a campaign on official time and financial support also for the reproduction of the flyers. So a call for approval and implementation of the awareness program by the Chief of Hospital, Caraga Regional Hospital, the venue, and a communication will be followed for campaign to address the principle of the target beneficiary. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation, and thank you for sticking to the time limit. We now open the floor for questions. Okay, we have a question from Dr. San Diego.
Hi, good afternoon. I'd just like to ask, because you mentioned about the bleeding disorder, would awareness on the bleeding disorder actually lead to a higher cessation rate of smoking? Thank you.
And before you answer that, ma'am, can we ask Dr. Cotionco de la Paz to give her question also?
Hello, thank you for your presentation. I just wanted to know, you have this data to support your advocacy that how harmful smoking can be. How do you also did mention that you'd like to present to, did you say high school students? How do you think, how would you translate this finding of a significant difference between smoker group and non-smoker group in terms of clotting time to something that a high school student will be able to appreciate and therefore cause a behavioral change? Thank you.
And a third question from Dr. Velasco.
Yeah, so I would just like to know, no, you mentioned that you wanted to recommend improvement of the program to the DOH, but what specific improvement are you actually recommending?
Will you please repeat the questions, Doc?
The three questions.
Yes, the bleeding disorder. The first question, please.
No, the first question from Dr. Santiago was, he was asking if awareness on bleeding disorders will lead to a high cessation rate.
Bleeding disorder will lead to cessation rate because because of the results of the smoker patients through the analyzing of prothrombin time, the hemostatic parameters, which include the prothrombin time, the activated partial thromboplastin time, and the other parameters. So the results of the study illustrates that the smoker patients have the increase in the results value from the reference range as the control. So I think the high school students or the beneficiaries of the awareness program will be alarmed through the results of the bleeding tendency. There will be a bleeding tendency if the results of the hemostatic parameters will be elevated. Thank you.
Would you like to answer the other question also from?
I can sorry, Doc. I could not remember the second question. Significant of clotting time. Will you please repeat also?
Can we ask Dr. Cotionco to ask her question again?
Yes, thank you. Miss Gemma, you mentioned that one of your target audience will be high school students. And looking at your data, yes, you actually told us that there will be derangement in bleeding parameters. How do you plan to translate this to terms that a high school student can understand and cause behavioral change? I mean, not even get into the not even get into the habit of smoking.
Okay, so I think the conduct of the 15-minute presentation and discussion will let them understand on the effects of the cigarette smoking, and also the distribution of flyers, because the flyers will have the graphic illustrations the diseases that will be which will be the negative consequences of habituating the cigarette smoking. Thank you.
Okay, and then just very briefly, ma'am, your answer to the last question of Dr. Velasco, just very briefly, what specific improvement to program implementation do you recommend to the DOH?
Okay. May I will call the Department of Health through the regional director to help me improve the flyers that I have been making, so that it will be more impressive, and it will be more attractive to the audience, to the target audience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for your presentation, and congratulations. We now move on to our next presenter. She is representing Region 10, and she is Miss Geraldine Ridad from the Mindanao State University Iligan Institute of Technology, College of Nursing. She will present her policy pitch, Together We Beat Diabetes with Project Diabeat, based on her research study entitled Project Diabeat, an approach to improve self-care management of diabetes. Ms. Ridad?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please
Magandang
go ahead.
hapon po sa inyong lahat. I am Geraldine Ridad of Mindanao State University Iligan Institute of Technology, representing Region 10. I am a nurse educator pursuing researches on health innovation, maternal and child care, and community health care. This afternoon, I would like to ask, who among you have family members, friends, or loved ones who have diabetes? Well, if you know someone, did you know that diabetes is considered the mother of many diseases and eventually causes death? In fact, the Philippines is considered the diabetes hotspot in the Western Pacific region, now affecting as young as 20 years old. However, many studies show that with proper glucose monitoring, healthy lifestyle, and effective pharmacological treatment, these complications can be prevented. Yet, even with the existing conventional ways to reach out these patients, many are still non-compliant. Nowadays, people spend hours using their smartphones, which has almost become an indispensable part of daily living. Thus, our team took advantage of technology to improve self-care management of diabetes through Project Diabet. It has three components. First is the weekly group support activities and lecture series on diabetes. Second is the use of mobile Diabet app. And lastly, Diabooth in the health center. So after 6 weeks of implementation, the participants have showed significant improvement in their self-care activities in terms of general diet, physical activities, glucose monitoring, and food care. In fact, their blood glucose levels had significantly reduced, which means that it has improved their glycemic control. In the advent of technology and rising popularity of smartphones, healthcare professionals and the government can take advantage of this innovation and consider integration into patient care. However, to better determine the effectiveness of the mobile app in achieving desired outcomes for patients with diabetes, a comparative study or a cohort study using a control group, those without the app, and an intervention group, those with the app, can be conducted. To ensure sustainability, reward system, regular monitoring, and a strong establishment of strong interlinkage partnership between the government, non-government institutions such as Globe and smart communities, the patient as well as their caregivers, especially the youth, is necessary. So these are the concerns that I would like to raise to the regional director of DOH to consider integration and improvement of Project Diabet among the existing government programs to beat diabetes towards a healthier Philippines and building patients as masters of their diabetes. So, are you in or out?
Thank you, Ms. Ridad, for that presentation and for
Thank you,
being
sir.
in. Yeah. Shall we now open the floor for questions?
Yes, question,
Any of
please.
our panelists? Yes, Dr. Santiago.
Yes, Ms. Geraldine. I'd just like to ask about your mobile app. Who actually controls the application? Is on the other end, is there actually a medical specialist, or is that something which is AI controlled? Thank you.
Hello, thank you for that question, Dr. San Diego. Yes, Doc, we have a partner. One of our researchers and our collaborators is a programmer. So he created the app, and then we also partnered with the City Health Office. So we ensure that the privacy of the data will be controlled by the CHO with the given permission of the patients. So the patient can actually access their data through the mobile app if they give their permission that the CHO will be able to access the data.
Okay,
Yes,
and
sir.
we have a second question from Dr. Velasco and then followed by Dr. Cotionco de la Paz.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. I noticed that you highlighted an issue with adherence to the weekly lectures for 40 of the 75 of the diabetic individuals. So that's more than half. Was there a difference in results between those that adhered and those that did not adhere to the lectures? And given that, would you still recommend that these weekly lectures be done?
We did not include those who did not those who did not participated in our weekly activities, ma'am. That's why one of our recommendation is actually to determine also the effect, the difference between those who participated in the weekly and those who did not. But we would really, our team believes that there is no perfect and single solution to beat diabetes. That's why we included these three components.
So my question, Ms. Ridad, is so this is a project-based activity. How do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
propose to uh, you know make this a program that can be integrated in your hospital or in your community? And in terms of that, uh, in relation to that question, is about sustainability. How do you think such a program can be sustained in your in the place where you are? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Doc, for that question. Indeed, as I have mentioned, I would like to recommend number one is the regular monitoring together with the CHO. And then second is the reward system. And then a strong linkage among patients, the government and non-government, especially the caregivers. That's why when we implemented the project during the first weeks, we have problems with the elderlies and the older persons using the app. That's why we integrated their caregivers, especially the younger ones or the youth. That's why after a few weeks, they were able to adapt to the project.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dad, for your answers.
Thank you, sir.
And congratulations again on your presentation. We now move on to our next presenter, and she is representing Region 4A, and she is Dr. Caroline May Matira, who is from the Batangas Medical Center, Department of Internal Medicine. She will present her policy pitch entitled Prevention is the Best Policy, based on her research study entitled Incidence of Anxiety and Depression Among Filipino End-Stage Renal Disease Patients of Batangas Medical Center Hemodialysis Unit using the Hospital Anxiety and Depression Scale. Dr. Matira?
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay, please go ahead.
Imagine with me that you wake up one morning that you've lost your job. You can provide for your family. You are too weak that you cannot even take care of the children nor help in the household. Both of your feet were swelling up to the knees, which makes you sit in the chair most of the time. Because even when you try taking just 5 steps towards the kitchen, you're already catching your breath. Then you remember you have to take your 4 medicines this morning, 3 more at lunch, and a 3 more at dinner. You can even plan your week schedule, since every Tuesday and Saturday, you have to go to the dialysis center for a 4-hour schedule. Then you remembered your doctor telling you to do it 3 times a week. But thinking about the budget for the children's education, the food, utilities, and your medicines, then maybe you simply cannot afford to do that. This is probably a common scenario in the life of a kidney failure patient undergoing dialysis. The burden of the disease has been increasing for the past 3 decades, and it is already the 7th leading cause of death among Filipinos. And as you can see, the burden of the disease is not just for the sick person, but on the family as well. Physically, it is draining. Financially, it is expensive, even for a normal Filipino family, mentally exhausting and socially isolating. And given the situation, it is not unlikely that they fall into depression and anxiety. According to the Department of Health, in general, 53 out of 1,000 Filipinos can have depression each year. And studies have shown that people with long-standing diseases, such as those undergoing dialysis, are more prone to depression. My name is Dr. Carlin May Matira, an internist specializing on adult diseases, and this is what my research is about, determining the rate of depression and anxiety among our dialysis patients. In my study, I found out that 25% of our dialysis patients have probable depression, while 38% have probable anxiety. And that is 4 times higher than the incidence in general. And studies have shown that when patients on dialysis succumb to depression, they stop going to the dialysis and they refuse taking their medicines. Therefore, they're hospitalized more, which increases their chance of dying. Our current field health coverage for psychiatric illnesses are limited to those who are confined in hospital. But we cannot just wait for them to be confined for us to diagnose their condition. Through routine consultations and screening with psychiatrists in the outpatient setting, we are already one step advanced in the management. If we can expand field health coverage to cover for outpatient services, these are the consultations, diagnostics, and medicines, both for public and private clinics, it would definitely make a big change. I firmly believe that prevention is still the best policy. Bridge the gap to early diagnosis, expand field health coverage to cover for outpatient services. And with this, we can prevent complications, further hospitalizations, and overall lessen the burden of their disease. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Matira, for your presentation, and congratulations. We now ask our panel for their questions. Do we have a question from the panel?
Harvey?
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, this is Dr. Aquin. So I have a question. It was my question is, it's not clear to me what the research basis for the recommendations are. So if the doctora can please elaborate. Thank you.
You may address the question, Doc.
Regarding the recommendation, I think that screening for psychiatric illnesses in this special population of the end-stage renal disease patients on dialysis should be done. Primarily because in my study, I found out that the incidence of depression and anxiety among them are actually high compared to the general population. But however, due to the lack of studies in this, especially in this group of population, I think it is sometimes neglected.
Thank you, Doc. And now a question from Dr. Velasco.
Yeah, so thank you for your presentation. I'm curious now because you're actually recommending expansion of outpatient benefit packages. So that's already the direction with the Universal Healthcare Act. But what other useful information from your research could actually be used to inform benefit package development? No, this is apart from the rates of depression and anxiety that you already cited.
Well, basically, that is just the scope of my research is just to get the incidence of anxiety and depression. Basically, what really made me do this research is due to the lack of studies for these patients. Regarding your question on the expansion, I cannot my research cannot add anything to it aside from the rate of incidence. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Matira, for your presentation and for addressing the questions from our panel.
Thank you.
We now move on to our last, but certainly not the least, presenter. So this is our 11th presentation, and he is representing Region 6. He is Mr. Ronald Gloria, Nurse 2 of the Corazon Locsin Montelibano Memorial Regional Hospital. He will present his policy pitch entitled, "Is Peritoneal Dialysis Program Sustainable?" based on his completed research, cost analysis of the peritoneal dialysis program of Corazon Locsin Montelibano Memorial Regional Hospital. Mr. Gloria?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon. Being a transplant coordinator and a registered nurse for almost a decade made me witness and realize the suffering of our fellow Filipino people. Peritoneal dialysis is a treatment used by peritoneal dialysis is a type of renal treatment in which it uses a membrane in your body in which it serves as a filter to eliminate waste as well as excess fluids from the body. Peritoneal dialysis first policy was made by the Department of Health to be the most accessible and affordable treatment for renal modality. As a support, the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation supported this cause by developing a Z benefit package for a peritoneal dialysis patient. Based on our research, the cost analysis of peritoneal dialysis program of CLMMRH, we found out that for almost 2 years, a total of 24 million was spent to 62 patients enrolled in the PD program from 2016 to 2017. This population came from the below poverty line in Negros Occidental. Almost half of the expenses was shouldered by the institution, 36% by the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, 10% by the Medical Assistance Fund, and 14% came from the patient's pocket. The increase in the percentage shouldered by the institution questioned the sustainability of the said program. In behalf of my institution, as well as the patients of Negros Occidental, I plead to you, our dear stakeholders, the Department of Health, as well as the PhilHealth, to lend me your ears. We need to strengthen the implementation of the PD First program as well as the Z benefit package for peritoneal dialysis. Also, we need to review the package rate as well as the existing policy in order to give our peritoneal dialysis patients a better life. Peritoneal dialysis program is in line with the universal health care, in which it is the first line of treatment to a renal patient because it uses less human resource as well as it can reach those with geographical difficulties in healthcare access. Thus, this program will only be sustainable if the Department of Health and the PhilHealth will work hand in hand in order to give hope to our patients towards quality of life. To end my presentation, I would like to leave you a quote by Helen Keller, which states, "Alone, we can do little, but together we can do so much." Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gloria, for your presentation and congratulations.
Thank you.
Now we move to the Q&A. Do we have a question from our panel?
Yes, Harvey, I have a question. This is Eva. Okay lang?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead po.
Okay. Yes, thank you for your presentation, Mr. Gloria. I wanted to ask you, do you have any information about the outcomes of this people who were enrolled in the PD program from 2016 to 2017. Were you able to demonstrate good outcome, good, better survival rates, and then to be able to uh, um, to strengthen your push for increasing the package rate? Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, ma'am. Actually, those 62 patients are all of which are patients. We handle these 62 patients, and they have from the year 2016 and 2017, they have a very promising outcome in which they have less peritonitis and they have a longer survival rate, ma'am.
Doc Harvey, can I ask a question?
Go ahead,
This is
ma'am.
Arlene.
Sige po, ma'am.
You are asking for, I thank you for your presentation, asking for the budgetary support for your program through benefit packages of PhilHealth and other sources. But may I know if you have explored the ways by which the hospital itself can also reduce the cost?
Actually, ma'am, we are in line with the PhilHealth Z benefit package, in which they offer a package of 270,000 for the claims, for especially for the PD solution as well as the disinfection cups. However, ma'am, there is some those that are we cater patients that are NBB. It means to say that they are no balance bleeding. So when they go for even though they are, for example, what the PhilHealth is given is much lower than the actual cost. The hospital shoulder the cost, in which the hospital shoulder the cost of the peritoneal dialysis program, in which the hospital incurred around 40% of the total cost, because for example, the peritoneal dialysis per claim is 10,000, but from the PhilHealth, they give 10,000 from the PhilHealth, but the total cost of the solution given to the patient from the hospital is 14,000. So it means to say that what the PhilHealth is giving to the hospital is less. That's why the hospital is the one who shouldered the extra cost by the peritoneal dialysis claim.
And one final question from Dr. Velasco.
Thank you, Ronald, for your presentation. So my question would be, do you think the incurred costs are actually warranted? And if you do not, how would you actually demonstrate this?
Actually, the incurred cost, do you mean, ma'am, the incurred cost by the hospital? Doctor?
Yes, in general. Incurred costs for the hospital and for the patient also.
Actually, the aim of the hospital is to provide the patients quality care at low cost. So as our institution is committed to provide quality care at low price. So the cost incurred by the hospital is is warranted, since that the hospital wants to cater and give the care to the patients at low cost. It is in the mission. It is in our mission that we should provide affordable care to our patients.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Gloria, for your presentation. And thank you for addressing the questions from our panel.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
So at this point, we have heard from all our 11 competitors, all excellent pitches, representing a very broad range of interesting research topics coming from various regions of the country, and research projects with several implications for policy. And I am happy to update you that we are also live on Facebook and YouTube. And I think we have reached about 400 viewers on YouTube. And we have also received about 589 registered participants for our registration for this activity. So at this point, we will now request our judges to just temporarily turn off your cameras and microphones on Zoom and shift Google Meet, the links of which have been sent in your email, and we will use Google Meet for your deliberations. While the judges are deliberating, in the meantime, we will have a poll where our audience can vote and participate. This is your opportunity to vote for your favorite presentation. And so to access the poll, which is via Google Form, please take note of the link as shown on the screen. Open the browser. Please take note that this link is case sensitive, and you will be given a chance to vote for your favorite presentation based on the question, given the criteria presented earlier, which competitor delivered the best policy pitch for you? So we'd like to invite our audience now to please copy the link and open your browsers. And there you will be able to vote. And we will give you 3 minutes to cast your vote. And voting starts now. One minute left for the voting. Okay, time's up. And may we ask our PCHRD team to close the poll now? So that ends the poll for our audience. Thank you so much to our viewers who participated in the voting. And the results of the voting will be presented later during the announcement of the winners. Now, to continue giving our panel of judges time to deliberate on the competitors' policy pitches, we will now have a 20-minute break. In the meantime, please be oriented on DOST services by viewing the videos we will flash on your screens. So thank you and see you later after the break.
In this time when we are filled with questions, fear, hesitation, and anxiety, there is one thing that remains strong and which we can rely on. It is science. With the truth as its method, science can create bridges of answers and tread new roads toward discovery. Science can subdue disputes, end doubts, fill deficiencies, make affordable services and technology, shed light on questions, ensure our safety, and unify dispersed forces to eradicate the pandemic. Throughout our history and life's challenges, we had overcome the greatest crisis in the world. As we turn to science and technology, together we can triumph over this period. We shall write a new history and an era of healing.
Sa mahigit na isang dekada, bahagi ako ng institusyon na napapatupad ng kaayusan sa daan. Maraming buhay ang literal na nakikita ko araw-araw. Ulan, araw, bagyo, pagtuyo. Bahagi ng pagkatao namin ang pagbibigay serbisyo. Ngunit sa panahong ito, tunay na mas naging mataas ang hamon sa ating lahat. Panandali ang tumigil ang mundo. Panandali ang tumigil ang buhay. Sa kabila ng maraming kakulangan at pangamba, patuloy tayong lumalaban lahat. Sa pagharap sa pandemic na ito, malaki ang pasasalamat namin sa mga teknolohiyang likhang Pinoy na tumutulong sa amin. Na mapadali ang pagmamanman sa kalsada. Nababawasan ang physical contact. Naiwasan ang paglaganap ng mapinsalang virus. Ito po si Police Captain Roderick A. Pasilan, Pilipino, proud sa teknolohiyang Pinoy, reporting for duty.
In this time when we are filled with questions, fear, hesitation, and anxiety, there is one thing that remains strong and which we can rely on. It is science. With the truth as its method, science can create bridges of answers and tread new roads toward discovery. Science can subdue disputes, end doubts, fill deficiencies, make affordable services and technology, shed light on questions, ensure our safety, and unify dispersed forces to eradicate the pandemic. Throughout our history and life's challenges, we had overcome the greatest crisis in the world. As we turn to science and technology, together we can triumph over this period. We shall write a new history and an era of healing.
Sa mahigit na isang dekada, bahagi ako ng institusyon na nagpapatupad ng kaayusan sa daan. Maraming buhay ang literal na nakikita ko araw-araw. Ulan, araw, bagyo, nagtuyo. Bahagi ng pagkatao namin ang pagbibigay serbisyo. Ngunit sa panahong ito, tunay na mas naging mataas ang hamon sa ating lahat. Panandali ang tumigil ang mundo. Panandali ang tumigil ang buhay. Sa kabila ng maraming kakulangan at pangamba, patuloy tayong lumalaban lahat. Sa pagharap sa pandemic na ito, malaki ang pasasalamat namin sa mga teknolohiyang likhang Pinoy na tumutulong sa amin. Na mapadali ang pagmamanman sa kalsada. Nababawasan ang physical contact. Naiwasan ang paglaganap ng mapinsalang virus. Ito po si Police Captain Roderick A. Pasilan, Pilipino, proud sa teknolohiyang Pinoy, reporting for duty.
In this time when we are filled with questions, fear, hesitation, and anxiety, there is one thing that remains strong and which we can rely on. It is science. With the truth as its method, science can create bridges of answers and tread new roads toward discovery. Science can subdue disputes, end doubts, fill deficiencies, make affordable services and technology, shed light on questions, ensure our safety, and unify dispersed forces to eradicate the pandemic. Throughout our history and life's challenges, we had overcome the greatest crisis in the world. As we turn to science and technology, together we can triumph over this period. We shall write a new history and an era of healing.
Sa mahigit na isang dekada, bahagi ako ng institusyon na napapatupad ng kaayusan sa daan. Maraming buhay ang literal na nakikita ko araw-araw. Ulan, araw, bagyo, nagtuyo. Bahagi ng pagkatao namin ang pagbibigay serbisyo. Ngunit sa panahong ito, tunay na mas naging mataas ang hamon sa ating lahat. Panandali ang tumigil ang mundo. Panandali ang tumigil ang buhay. Sa kabila ng maraming kakulangan at pangamba, patuloy tayong lumalaban lahat. Sa pagharap sa pandemic na ito, malaki ang pasasalamat namin sa mga teknolohiyang likhang Pinoy na tumutulong sa amin. Na mapadali ang pagmamanman sa kalsada. Nababawasan ang physical contact. Naiwasan ang paglaganap ng mapinsalang virus. Ito po si Police Captain Roderick A. Pasilan, Pilipino, proud sa teknolohiyang Pinoy, reporting for duty.
In this time when we are filled with questions, fear, hesitation, and anxiety, there is one thing that remains strong and which we can rely on. It is science. With the truth as its method, science can create bridges of answers and tread new roads toward discovery. Science can
Okay. We're happy to be back. Good afternoon again to our viewers, and thank you for joining us. The judges have finished their deliberations, and we now proceed to the most exciting part of our activity, the announcement of winners. Now, the winners will be announced by the chair of our panel, Dr. Cecilia Acuin. May we invite Dr. Acuin to join us again?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for staying on. I'm sure you must all be excited to find out who won. But before I announce the winners, I'd like to add a few things to the introduction that I forgot to say earlier. One was why 3 minutes as a policy pitch? And this is actually because of, as you know, the reality of time limitations on the part of policymakers. I remember when I was with the Department of Health that then Secretary Juan Flavier told us that for everything we submit to him, we must have a one-page summary. And anything longer than one page, he's not going to read. That's because of the volume of things that he has to go through. Eh ngayon, hindi lang limited tayo in terms of physical paper, but we're also limited by the physical distancing that that is imposed on us. And so when you have the ear of a policymaker or the video, you might only have at best malaki na nga, matagal na yung 3 minutes. No? So that's why we thought that this would be a good training for researchers to be able to condense their thoughts and relay to the policymaker the important parts of their research and the parts that need to be acted upon. We're also very happy about this online transition. I hope you are too. Of course, I miss the electricity of feeling the tension of the presenters and the excitement of their followers. But at this time, we're actually grateful that we had about almost 400 participants online listening. If we had the face-to-face PNHRS conference, maybe we would not have the 400 listening. So I think we're reaching a wider audience. And we also have the advantage that this presentation is being recorded and can be replayed. So it has the potential to reach even more people. So finally, I now go to the announcement of the winners. And I will first announce the winner of the People's Choice Award. Okay, so the People's Choice Award was given to the competitor who garnered the highest number of audience votes based on the Google Forms. So actually, medyo may disadvantage dito yung mga hindi maganda ang mga internet connection, ano? Kasi baka hindi kayo makapagboto ng maayos. I hope that our telcos are going to address this soon so that the next time it will be a fairer competition. At any rate, based on the technology available to us today, the awardee who will receive 5,000 pesos as the People's Choice is Dr. Ronel De La Rosa from Region 3 for his policy pitch entitled A Smoke-Free City Living and Tobacco-Free Generation in the City of Balanga. Congratulations, Dr. De La Rosa, and congratulations to your team. You were most effective in delivering your message to our audience. For transparency, we will flash the results of the poll. So I thought we were going to show the top 5. I guess ito lang yung top 3. At any rate, oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. So ayan po yung results ng inyong poll for transparency's sake. So congratulations again to Dr. De La Rosa. So we now go to the competition proper, and the judges were actually, we were quite impressed by the diversity of the topics and the depth to which some of the researchers were able to go in their research from sometimes from the very start of a concept all the way to implementation and evaluation of that implementation. To me, that was very impressive because then you know that every step of the research was scrutinized and there is more credibility to the results. We were also impressed by the fact that many of the researchers actually had policy applications that could be implemented, and that the researchers were able to think through how the researches would be applied. So we'd like to congratulate ahead of time all of those who presented. I think you are all winners in your own right, having been selected to represent your regions. And maybe next time we can have more awards, not just 1, 2, 3. PCHRD, I hope you're listening. So we go to the third place. The competitor who secured the third place will receive 10,000, and with an average score of 81.4, the winner who gave the policy pitch entitled Healthy Nature for Healthy People is Mr. Michael Bacchus from Region 11. Congratulations, Mr. Bacchus. You actually had us when you started talking about bats, because that is, of course, the animal of the year, and has caught all our attention. So you have a very relevant topic, and you were able to deliver your policy pitch quite well. So congratulations, Mr. Michael Bacchus from Region 11.
Thank you.
Next winner, the second place winner, will receive 20,000 pesos and had garnered a score of 88.6%. This winner gave the policy pitch entitled Bridging the Gap for the Improvement of Access to Healthcare for the Filipino Deaf Community, and was delivered by Ms. Hazel Ann Catublas from NCR. So Dr. Catublas, congratulations. We thought that you gave an excellent presentation and that your paper was very well organized. Thank you for being a champion for the deaf. It is not a very popular research topic, nor is it a very popular policy area. We need more people like you. Congratulations.
Thank you for the opportunity po.
Okay. And finally, the best but definitely not the least. First place, the champion, who will receive 30,000 pesos and garnered a total score of 90.6% for the policy pitch entitled Together We Beat Diabetes with Project Diabet, delivered by Ms. Geraldine Ridad from Region 10. Congratulations, Ms. Ridad. You gave the most compelling policy pitch of all. And so for this, we award
Thank you so much.
Nasaan ka na? I don't see you.
Hi, I'm here, ma'am.
Hi, there you are.
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations, Miss Ridad.
Thank you
And
so much, ma'am.
we hope
All
that
glory to God.
you're able to get more funds for your research because your
Yes,
app
ma'am.
and the overall approach that you gave the pitch for sounds very sensible to us. So you might want to apply for a PCHRD grant to enable you to expand your research further and to broaden the application. Diabetes is, of course, a problem that is escalating in our country. As you know, it is also a risk factor for severity of COVID. So this is a problem that
Yes.
we really need to do something about very quickly. So congratulations again, Ms. Redad, and congratulations to your team.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
And with that, thank you very much to all the competitors. Congratulations to all the winners. And we'd also like to thank the DOST PCHRD Research Utilization team for its hard work on this competition. Over to you, Harvey. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And I personally also would like to congratulate our winners. And I'd like to say that I enjoyed all of your presentations. So my deepest congratulations. So now to close the program, let us hear from the Chief of the Research Information, Communication and Utilization Division of PCHRD, Ms. Merlita Openia.
Thank you, Harvey.
Hi, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And good afternoon to everyone. To Ces, I'll just use first names. Ces, who is our chair of the PNHRS RU committee, to Eva, to May, to Arlene, and to Peter. Thank you very much for being in the panel of this.
Arlene then, si Arlene.
Arlene, yeah, Arlene Ruiz, yeah. The panel of this 3-minute pitch. I think this would be the third time that we're having this. And by the way, before I say anything, I'd like to say congratulations to our winners and our finalists. As Ces was saying, the finalists are already winners in their own rights. And actually today, if you remember, 11 to 14 August would be the PNHRS 2020, and we would have been in Zamboanga City. So unfortunately, we don't have one this year, but actually this 3-minute pitch would be the PNHRS 2020. How do you say that, Says? This will be the PNHRS 2020. And thank you very much, Harvey, for working with our team, ULIS team on research to policy translation. And you'll be stuck with us. Is that all right with you? And
my pleasure.
Merle, do you mean that this is the only activity of PNHRS that actually pushed through?
Yes, yes. So this is, I think we should, when we have our releases, I think we should have like a PNHRS 2020, and this 3-minute pitch to policymakers would be the PNHRS 2020. And to us, there's really value to this kind of competition, presentation, both for researchers and people like us in research management. Because for us, we would know what kind of research would lend to translation to policy, because our team is really looking at the files of researches that we have funded, and which of these would really lend to policy outputs. And then for researchers, at the very early stage of the research, they have to be engaged, engaging all the policymakers who would be using the results of the research, and what point in the research would be a good time to pitch with policymakers. I think as we go through this kind of competition, we are learning as organizers how best to advise the researchers and what kind of capacity building programs would our RU committee says would be doing to help researchers translate the research outputs to policy. And I think you were raising a question like maybe the next series of competitions we can do in the region. How about that? Because in that process, the region can also come up with their winners and we can have like a national competition really, but we have several regional competitions. I think that would be something that we can think about for the next programs of this particular area, translating research to policy. So once again, thank you very much. Actually, I'm the farthest among you. I'm based here in Davao right now in the last 5 months, but I'm happy to see all of you. And thank you very much for making this event a successful one. Thank you. I'm done, Harvey.
We forgot to thank someone, and we'd like to thank Ma'am Merle Opena and her division and the team led by Uli, Faye, Sam and Fatima, and the others from PCHRD who organized this activity. So congratulations to you, ma'am, and to your division for the success of this initiative.
Thank you, Harvey. You'll be
Now,
with us for a long time.
It will be my pleasure, po. Now, before we end our program, we would like to remind our viewers to answer our evaluation form, which is accessible through this link, as you see it on the screen. Please take note that this link is case sensitive, and DOST PCHRD will value your feedback, and we believe that it will help improve future events, okay, in the new normal. So please submit your evaluation. Okay, so we have now reached the end of the 3MP to Policymakers competition for 2020. We congratulate all our winners and all our competitors for your excellent work, and we wish them all the best in their research to policy endeavors. We thank our excellent panel of judges, chaired by Dr. Ces Akuin, for joining us today. We thank and congratulate our team from PCHRD for organizing this event. And of course, we thank you, our viewers, for joining us this year, although virtually, and we hope to see you again, hopefully in person, for the next 3MP competition in 2021. So please take care, everyone. Keep safe, and until we meet again. But at this point, may we request all our judges and competitors to please stay for a while so that we can have a photo.
Yeah, congratulations to the team. I didn't realize this was the only activity of PNHRS that actually pushed through. So, Merle, that's a big feat. Everybody else defaulted except except research utilization. Thank you. Thank you, Yuli. Thank you, Faye and Fatima and everybody.
Welcome po.
Okay, so paano ba tayo magpi-picture taking? Sino yung magpi-picture taking?
Ma'am, kami po yung mag-screenshot. Nandito po ba si Dr. De La Rosa? Ronel De La Rosa? Kasi siya lang po yung walang picture kanina dun sa may People's Choice.
Ay, oo nga. Sorry. Hindi ko siya napansin.
Okay lang, ma'am. Okay lang po. So, ito po yung time para mapicturean siya.
O, sige. Asan na yung yung iba? Faye. Wala kayong Yuli. Hindi kayo makita. Yan. Okay. Wala yata si Dr. De La Rosa. Nandyan ba siya? Sinong magsi-screenshot? Kayo na.
Saka dapat po may nagsasalita, kung hindi, matagal tayong nakangiti lang.
Oh, sige. Sino kukuha? Ha, Faye? Kayo bang magkukuha? Or sige. Okay. All right. So everybody, look at your cameras. Don't look at anything else. Otherwise, you will look weird. Look at your cameras and smile. Faye, please say 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Okay na po, ma'am.
Okay na. O, sige, thank you all. Thank you everybody. O, ayan na. Kasi sabi nga ni Merle, pag nag-report na ng PCA ng PNHRS 2020, ito na yon. Kaya yung picture natin yung lalabas doon. Thank you very much.
Dapat puno ng pitch, Yuli.
Hindi ba maraming beses kukunan kasi parang maraming gallery? Kumasya sa isa?
O, ano lang kasi to yung panelists lang at saka yung ano.
Ma'am, kahit na 2 pages pa rin siya, ma'am.
2 pages ba tayo? Oh my God.
2 pages. So, dapat 2 beses.
Dapat may isa pa. O at least may isa pa. Okay. We'll do it again. Please turn on your cameras again, everybody. Yan. So, thank you. Faye, please say 1, 2, 3 and then ikaw na yung mag-switch ng
3. Okay na po, ma'am. Sa akin, isang panel lang po.
Kaya pala. Maliliit siguro kami dyan. Okay.
O sige, pag nag-review ka, isa lang lalabas. Lahat.
Thanks, Ma'am Merle. Thanks, Harvey. Good job. Thanks, Ma'am Ces.
Thank you, everybody. Hanggang sa muli.
Bye, Ma'am Eileen. Congratulations to all the competitors and the winners. You're all winners.
Thank you po.
Bye-bye.
Thank you po.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Yun ang